Yeah. Yeah, I'm on. But I wanted to adjust that camera, but I'm not going to adjust it again because that's what kicked it off
You
before.
want it more towards the.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. That's good enough. It's not gonna fit in with my topic tonight. Okay. Let's see if anybody comes in. So I'll know that we're on. All right. Well, I'm just going to start. Yep. Okay. Somebody's here. All right. Today, May 6, 2025. Mark, your host, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Wonderful day. It was kind of rainy this morning, and it was rainy all day long. And then about 7 o'clock, it cleared, and it's beautiful out. I can hear birds chirping right out here. So it's kind of springish, kind of nice. And so I was not real psyched about coming in, but I had this obligation, so here I am. So a little bit about what on here today. I am finishing I'm moving a project a little further down the road. People that have been here know that we disassembled our old butcher shop, and then it was a two section building, not very big. I think it's 20 by 20 in the front section and like 14 by 20 in the back section or the front section. What's closer to the house, I guess that would be the front. And the back section, we turned it into a store, which has been operating now for over a year and a half, probably closer to 2 years we've been operating it. And that's where we put all the milk and all the other products, the meat and all that stuff. There's a couple freezers in there that people can just toddle on in, take their stuff, and leave. And this winter, we made some improvements to it, put in some shelving and a counter and the wood stove. And I think we had that last year. We probably did. And then we had to turn the cooler around, and that was a trick. That was a real trick. So it had to be disassembled, turned around, and then reassembled, and then a new doorway made in the wall so it faces into the store instead of where it did face, which was just into a corridor. And it worked out good before when it was a butcher shop, but it doesn't work out too well this configuration. So it's a reconfiguration that's happened, and we had to do some concrete and some wiring and some plumbing, and it was a lot. It was pretty involved. But the front part is going to be, I'm not sure what we're calling it. Oh yeah, the cafe kitchen, right? We were thinking about calling it the summer kitchen, farm kitchen. What else could we call that? The scullery, but that one's taken, so I decided not to use that one. Hey, Zumwalt's with us. Welcome, Andy Zumwalt, Keith Sutton. All right, right on. So that project, I've been working on that after I got done with milking this morning. Had to run after some parts, and I got it moved down the field pretty good. I'm going to put some finishing touches on it tomorrow and then move all the equipment out of there and go on to the next thing. And it's dictated by function, functionality. If it's not finished, it still functions. So that's going to have to be good enough for now. And that's probably all that we will do on it until wintertime. It's functional. So that kitchen will be used for all the things that Jill does up here that really clutters up her counters, like cheese making and canning butter, all that will be done down there. So a lot of the equipment that's kept in the kitchen here can be out of the kitchen. Also, when we do our classes, the cooking for the classes will be done down there. So that there'll be a separate set of dishes that's down there. And then if we have some sort of gathering and we're going to feed people, we can do it down there. Right. So that's the idea. Also, the store kind of doubles as a place to sit and eat. And when I have guys that are working here and we're going to feed them, I have a couple part-time employees for like chicken processing day and things like that. We can eat down there instead of having to haul everybody up into the house and track a bunch of stuff in. And it's kind of nice because Rachel got married a month or so ago, and so she's out now. And so it's just me and the two little boys, but they're not little anymore. They're 13 and 16. And Frank's going to be turning 14 here pretty quick. Jim is driving now. He's got his driver's license, and he's got a little pickup truck that he bought from John Spears Automotive. And so, yeah, things are going good. We got a lot done today. Yeah, we really did get a lot done today. Milking's going really good. Calving's been going well. I've gotten 2 new calves in the last 10 days or so. And we're going to push past 20 gallons per day, which is a milestone. We've never produced that much milk before. To big dairies, that's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. But for a herd share, that's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice thing. I don't think that you want to just do it. I think you want to come and look at somebody that is doing it. But maybe that goes against what I'm going to talk about tonight. Maybe. I think it's always good to look and see what other people are doing, but then formulate your own system, your own ideas. So, pigs are doing well. I've got about 10 feeders that I'm feeding out. They'll be ready in the fall. And then I've got 4 sows up here in the maternity pen. One of them farrowed, a couple months ago, and those little pigs are going to be up for sale starting this weekend. Real nice. Their dad is a half red, half blonde, and the moms, I got 2 reds and 2 blondes, and it's working out pretty good. I mean, it's a nice little baby machine up there. So I'm going to start selling them this weekend. I've had a couple people ask me about them this week, and I never really have problems selling pigs. There's always people that want pigs, especially Mangalitsa's. They're going really well now. I think it has a lot to do with education. When people know what to do with them and how to raise them. When they first came into the country, it was supposed to be the hottest thing for big-time chefs to get into, but a lot of big-time chefs that we find in the United States, the ones that we've dealt with, they're big-time and they've been bred into, the Gordon food model, to where they have a form, they fill it out, they got to make their price point, but they really don't have the expertise that it takes to deal with a lard type pig. Seems like, there's like, if they're going to do pork chops, they order just pork chops and that's all they get. But if you order a half a pig, you get a lot more than pork chops, and they don't really know what to do with it. So we didn't have good luck with that. Maybe that'll change. It's all about education, and we've not really educated very many chefs. We really haven't, I guess they don't see our operation as something that they could use. I think they could. It made sense to the people that originally brought Mangalitsa into the country that the chefs would really grab hold of it. But so far, not so much. But I'm doing well with them. We sell them as a homestead pig. And a lot of our customers are people that have gone through our class, so they know what to do with a pig that produces a lot of fat. There is a process with that. And we are not at a place anymore where we have too much fat, because we've learned how to process it down, render it out, and then put it in jars, and then put it for sale in the store, and it goes. Um, things are changing all the time. And it seems like everybody is connected up, and people who are into the food scene or the health scene are getting a consistent message. And that message is consistent with animal fats, good animal fats that are not fed high concentrations of corn and soy that's douched down with glyphosate, good, for people that are in the know. So it's working out pretty well. Okay, Scott Sandals with them. I'm gonna talk to you about CC tonight. That's part of what I have to talk about. So let's see. Yeah, everything is going really well. I'm going to be putting the cows out on grass any day now. We've had a couple of rainy days, real good rainy days, and we're supposed to have sunny weather for about the next 7 or 8 days. So the grass is going to explode. It's getting warmer out. Let's see. They've got a fire going in the house right now. I don't know if it makes much difference to anybody about what our weather is like here, but today the high was 62. Tomorrow the high 66, then 60, 66. Saturday 71. Sunday 73. Monday 79. I'm going to be in shorts. All right. Tuesday 78. And all those are sunny, sunny days. So the grass is going to explode. I still have hay in the barn. I'm in good shape as far as milking goes. We've had 2 cows freshen in the last 10 days. So we are in good shape for a while. Things are changing, though, here. Things are changing, and I will probably touch on that a little bit, too, as far as impregnating our cows and stuff like this, things like that. But anyway, I don't remember what Jill titled this as, but I will tell you what happened and what I learned from what happened recently. And I thought that I would pass it on because in some ways it's quite profound. When you're working on an operation and it's right in front of you and things start working, and you get the feel for, oh, I can do this. I can do this. And then you quit looking around and just focus on what you're doing. Everything starts to kind of focus in and get small. And you can see the operation that you're doing in a much different way. And if you're focused on success, then that's what presents itself to you. Okay, so I do a bit of consulting. And what I've learned from consulting is people are coming to you from all different places. And probably the best way to handle a consulting with someone after all these years that I've been doing it is start with a phone call and me just figure out where they're at and what they really need and kind of formulate a plan of attack from there. So I did a consulting Monday. Oh, today's Tuesday. So it was yesterday. And the people started coming to us because they were getting raw milk. The mother's on a little bit of a health kick with her kids. She's got 5 or 6 kids and she's trying to raise them right. And there's a lot of information out there if you're interested in food and health. I don't need to belabor that now. There's so much information if you care. I know people that don't care at all. They don't care at all, and they're still doing the Taco Bell and all that stuff. It's there if you want to. You're free country. So is Jack Daniels if you want that. There's a lot of stuff that's out there. If that's what you want to do, you can do it. And I'm not saying that we should take it away. I'm just saying if you want to go an alternate route, it's there too. And when people find it, then they say, oh, but where do I get raw milk? Where do I get grass-fed beef? Where do I get pastured poultry? And then they find us. So most of the time when people come to us for raw milk, they're winnowed out. I don't need to tell them about seed oils. I don't need to tell them about glyphosate. They know. And they're just glad that we're providing what they're looking for. So these people came. I'm not going to use their name. I don't think they'd really care, but I won't use their name. It doesn't really matter anyway. They're in their mid-30-ish area. The husband is a craftsman, very good at what he does, extremely good at what he does. Attention to detail, artistic talent, very difficult process what he did. Well, I'll just tell you, he's a taxidermist, and he has attained a level in his field that's up there on a national level. No joke. Started when he was young, and that's what he does for a full-time deal. Looks like, from what they drive and where they live, looks like he's doing a pretty good job of providing for his family. And when they came here, all of a sudden the wife started to look around we can do this. And a lot of questions, and I gave a lot of answers. And when I see somebody warming up to this process, I fan the flames if I can. Got to be careful, if they're not on the same page, because the husband will oh, here she goes again with the next thing. But it wasn't like that so much. But they were not evenly yoked, if you know what I mean, on this. And she was like, I want to get a cow. They've got 20 or so acres, or maybe a little more. And she's ready to go. She's ready to go. And I live by, do the thing and you will have the power. Anyone can farm. Could I milk a cow? Absolutely, you can milk a cow. If you can walk through that door, if you drove a car here, you can milk a cow. It's just, there's things that you need to know. There's little hurdles that you have to jump, and you don't jump them all in one day. You jump them one at a time. And am I saying it's going to work perfectly the first time? I'm not saying that. I am not going to say that, because it didn't work perfectly for me the first time. A good saying that a friend of mine, I haven't talked to him in a long time. Dave Janda is his name. He's a radio talk show host. He's probably on YouTube now. Everybody's gone over to YouTube with their podcasts and stuff. And I catch a little of his stuff from time to time. He's big time, conspiracy theorist type guy. Anymore, those things don't seem like conspiracy theories, but he says at the end of his show, and dare to fail. And he comes from a line of people who have had businesses. He was in business for himself. He was a orthopedic surgeon. So, he's trainable, that's for sure. And he did it for 35 years, and then he punched out and he went into broadcasting, and he's done really well with that too. But he says, dare to fail, dare. I'm going to jump in this. I'm going to jump in the deep end. And I bet I won't fail. I bet I won't. I dare you. I dare you to take me down. And that's what he says. Now, I don't think I'd do that when it comes to swimming. If you can't swim, I don't think I'd do that. But other things, I think it's a good idea to dare to fail. So anyway, they set up an hour of consulting. We went 2 actually, and it's not free. It's not free. An hour of my time, I charge $100 for an hour. And I've found over the years that you have to reach a pain point in order for people to get serious about what you're telling them. If we're just having dinner and you ask me, well, so what kind of fence do you think? I mean, I'll tell you, but you're not paying me to hurt your feelings. If you're paying me for information that's going to lead to your success. If I have to tell you that, well, I don't think this is going to work for you because you only have, your legs are only 2 feet long or something like that. But when you're paying, I will tell you, the obstacles that are going to present you, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So that's why I do that. I used to actually do consulting for free. I actually used to do that. I would go to people's place because I wanted to see them do well, but it didn't really work out that well because anything that's free generally is something that comes in the mail free. It's like, if it's free, I really want to take it. I don't know if I want to take that advice. But if a guy's willing to say, I'll give you advice and it's going to be good advice, but it's going to cost, then people sit up straight in their chair and they listen intently, take notes and everything. So it was an appointment that was set up. They showed up and we sat down. I already knew what I was going to say, though, because I've talked with these people and probably talked with the wife a little bit more because she's the one that comes and picks up the milk. And it was very easy. This was a very easy consulting, and it was well received by both these people. And I started off by saying, you're paying me to tell you the truth. You're asking about a process here that I do every single day, and you want me to tell you how to do it. This guy's a taxidermist. I said to him, is there any doubt in your mind that if I wanted to do what you do and I threw myself into it, that I could compete with you? Is there any doubt? And he thought about that and he says, well, I do train a lot of people, and sometimes people can't even put a blade in a scalpel. I said, yeah, but if I wanted to do what you're doing and I really wanted to do it, is there any doubt that I could do it? And he said, no, I have no doubt that if you wanted to do it, you could do it. Okay. So you have confidence in me because you're sitting there and you've paid me $100 to get my opinion on this. You have confidence in what I'm going to say, don't you? And he said, yeah, I do. I said, and then he wanted to show me some sketches that he'd made. And I said, no, I don't really want to see your sketches. That is not what is holding you back. That is not it. Your wife has found a cow. She's ready to pull the trigger right now. She's gone and put in temp fences and stuff, and she's done quite a bit of stuff. You're holding. And I know why. You don't have the confidence that you can do this. So the problem is actually your problem, because I have confidence that you can do this because I've seen the work that you do. And if you set your mind to do it, you'll do it. Will it work perfectly the first time? No. You will fail. And then you will pick up the pieces and you will do it again. I said, I reckon the first time you skinned out a deer's head to do a mount, it wasn't perfect. And he said, oh, yeah. But I said, I bet you right now, I'll bet you $10 right now that I could blindfold you and you could skin a deer's head out. And he's like, yeah, I could. I said, what about you? You could change a baby's diaper with a blindfold on, I bet. She said, oh, yeah, I could do that. I said, but could you do that when you were 12? No. So where did the confidence come from that you could diaper a baby now at age 34, whatever she is? I'm not sure what she is, but maybe 35. Where did that confidence come from? Oh, well, I've had 5 kids or 6 kids, whatever they have. I'm not sure. I forget how many kids other people have. And so I could see that they were starting to become at ease. And again, with the sketches and stuff, and I like, no, that's the specifics of this operation. She wants a cow. You want a cow because you want milk for your children. You want good food for your children. You found the cow. You know where it is. They're holding it for you. You've sent a deposit. Why don't you have a trailer behind your vehicle right now? Because I know they have a trailer. And he was like, well, I could see him searching. And he said, to his credit, he's trying to defend his position because I'm blowing holes in it. And he says, but he's paid me to do it now. I'm not being mean. He's paid me to do it. And he says, well, the welfare of the animal, I'm just concerned with the welfare, and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize the welfare of the animal. And I said, okay. I don't think you will. I think when you bring her home and you've got your electric fences up, even if they're temporary fences, and you feed the cow, so hay, you got to have hay, and you got to have at least a temp fence up, electric, she will respect it, and she will stay close to the bale feeder. And so long as you have water there, why would she leave? Because he's concerned about her getting in the road and things like that. I get that. But that comes from a place of ignorance because you haven't done it. When you do it, and I used to say this, Andy, all the time when I would get new guys in, and they come in from tech school, but they don't really know what they need to know to do the job that we're going to ask them to do in the Air Force. And I would say, someday I'm not going to be here. Someday you're going to be sitting at this desk and you're going to have young people on the other side of the desk, young troops, and you're going to have to convince them that they can do this job. You're going to have to convince them. So the roles will reverse. There are people here that know how to do this, and most likely they're not going to turn you loose too early in the game for you to do any kind of real damage. They'll start you on easy stuff and work you into it. And I said that to them. A year from now, you're going to have young mothers coming to you and say, wow, I wish I could milk cow. And she's going to say, you can. Because there was a time when I didn't think I could milk a cow either. Okay? So confidence comes from doing the thing. Do you know everything that's going to happen? Do you have all the I's crossed and the T's dotted? No, because you don't even know what they are yet. You have never done this process. But there was a time when you did not know how to tie your shoes either, and your mother had to tie your shoes for you. But now you can tie them, and now you're teaching your kids how to tie their shoes. So this guy, nice guy too, and I gave it to him hard because I didn't want to lean into it too much, too slowly. I wanted to shake him a little bit, and I think I did. And I said, the problem here is your lack of confidence in yourself. Why is that? And then we started to talk. And he said, well, yeah, my brothers, they kind of say the same thing. And on and on it went. And it was just some little thing in his life to where and it's probably because the intention to detail on taxidermy, that he's just dead set on doing things perfect the first time. And that's a weakness. That is a weakness in this. Sometimes you just gotta plow into it, and then we'll take care of the small stuff as it presents itself. We'll figure it out. You will figure it out. And at the end of the day, you will learn stuff. Boom, boom, boom. So I think that's something that I think I see that a lot, where people are a little apprehensive in their own abilities to do this process. Now, you may look at what has happened here. That's 21 years worth of this. A lot of mistakes, a lot of hands out in front of me. I couldn't see where I was going. And then, okay, we tried this. Okay, we tried this. Now we're doing this. There was a lot of trial and error. And I did not think that that's the way it was going to go. When I came out of the military, you're always going to a new place and somebody tells you, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Do that. Even when you've been in, because every place has its own nuances, how to deal with people, how to deal with the bosses, how to deal with the officers. It's different everywhere. And you go into it thinking like, yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but I know I can learn it. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and wait until, my bosses tell me this is where we're going to put you, and, you take it from here. And when I came here to the outside, there's farming going on all around me, but not this type of farming. My friends that have farms around here where they're milking 100 cows or 80 cows, whatever, they don't really build fences in their fields. They don't at all. Their animals go from where they get milked to a loafing area, which is a building, and the cows lay down, and then 8 hours later, they're coming back in to get milked again, and then they go back in there. They feed them in a center aisle, and they're feeding them silage and some hay and some grain and stuff. I don't really know exactly what they feed them. So the disciplines are different. Our animals are out on pasture, so that requires fencing, and it's got to be good fencing. And I didn't come out of my mother's womb knowing how to fence. I did not. I mean, you might think I did because I am such a good fencer, but I really didn't know how to do it. And I had a lot of escapes. I had a lot of broke down fences. I had trees go over fences. I had fences pull out. I've had all kinds of things. And I finally got to a place where I have a good idea what will work. I wouldn't say I know what I'm doing, but I know what will work. And it has worked pretty good. Not that we haven't had problems. We did. As I told you maybe a couple weeks ago, I had 2 steers get into some grass that certain times of the year can be a neurotoxin, and I lost 2 steers. You'd think I would have known that. You'd think my neighbors would have seen them out there and say, hey, your cows can't be out there in March. They just can't. But they don't know because they don't graze their cattle. So how would they know? So I had to learn a lot of this stuff on my own. And, would I even sit down and research Reed's canary grass? And if I had, I would have read the first couple of stories about it. Hey, this stuff's good. I wouldn't have gone down until I found neurotoxin risk. And it was like 20 stories down, and it was from 1983. I would never have done that. So I wouldn't have known that there was a risk there. However, I can tell you, my cows were down there for 4 days. 2 of them stayed down there, the 2 biggest ones. And for 4 days, they didn't come up to the bale. 4 days, was it 4 days? Yeah, 4 days, they did not come up to get their treats. These are my beef cows, right? So I give them treats in the wintertime too. And I was starting to kind of wonder, I wonder why. I wonder why. And what it was they started eating that Reed's canary grass. It 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 concentrated the neurotoxins in their system, went to their brain, and they just were lost down there. That's why they didn't come back. The younger cattle, they came back. And the younger cattle have been out there for about 3 weeks now, but they're eating the new growth that's coming up. And I get a bit of a twinge when I see them in that area, but something inside me says, no, it's okay now. Now, next March, I'm closing the gate. They're not going out there. They will be staying in until at least April, probably middle of April, before the new growth starts coming in. And new growth, they want to go out. If there is no new growth, they don't. Why they went out there, I really don't know. Maybe looking for new growth. I don't know. But I lost 2 big steers. Wound up costing me probably $20,000 because those steers processed would have brought better part of 10 grand each out of the store. So anyway, live and learn. And I'm into it all this time, and now I know that other things will happen. Last summer, I told you, I lost one of my beef cows. I had a beef cow. I bought her as a calf and wanted to feed her out. I wasn't intending to breed her, but the bull that I had other plans, and I've told you that I'm not going to have any more bulls here, and that was because he did not respect fences. He could jump them, and when there was a cow down there, he smelled it, and he jumped the fence, went down and bred her, and then he came back through the fences, and he busted down a fence, and all the steers got out, and it was a big mess, and I was like, no more bulls. But I am going to be getting a bull here, because now that I have 10 milking cows, I can't keep up with the AI technician, how that works, because it's just a lot of time that it takes, 4 visits and then a preg check 5 weeks later. Oh, it didn't take. Well, now I'm into it 2 months behind. If I have a bull, he'll let me know in 30 days if she didn't take, because he'll want at her again, and the bull just has to be kept in a place where he cannot get out, and enough electric running in there that he won't even try, right? And we know how to do that. We can do that, and then the cows go in with him. So anyway, we are going to be getting a bull. But in the course of that conversation, I discovered something. I discovered something in me. This guy wanted to show me these sketches. And what he was asking for was, is this good or not? But that really wasn't what he needed. And I sensed that I don't want to tell him this is bad or good, because those answers are within him. And if he just comes back to me again and again, shows me sketches, and I give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, it shuts down something in you. It shuts it down. And you don't think about it. And you just go with, okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is how he wants it done. And that's not good. That's not good. You need to develop as a designer, troubleshooter, problem solver. You need to develop as a man or woman in that area. Now, I am not saying don't go and observe how other people do things. Don't do some research on the internet. Do that because you see lots of cool things. Might work for you, but it might not. Just because somebody pulls it off on the internet doesn't mean that it's going to work in your system, right? Because your system is unique. You know, if I built a farm just like this someplace else, it would not be the same because the soils are different. The wind hits it from a different angle. The sun comes up in a different place. You know, everything is different. We have different trees. We have different native species. It has to be unique. It has to be unique. It will be unique. I don't say it has to be, but chances are it will be unique to the biosphere that you're in. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you will start to draw from within you. Now, where does that come from? I don't exactly know. I theorize that we are stewarding somebody else's creation. I didn't create these animals. I definitely didn't. And I was created, right? They were created for me, is what I believe. It sure looks that way. And I was created for them too, because they wouldn't do too well without me. They would for a while, but after a while, it would just be chaos. You know, they'd be living in the house, and after they raided the fridge and everything, then what would they do? You know, they need me. They need me. And I definitely need them. So it's a mutual thing. They don't get to eat me, though. So I don't have it all figured out. But I get to eat them. But I am a meat eater, so it seems like a good fit. I could see somebody having a problem with that, but tough. So where do these answers come from? I'm starting to really wrap my head around the concept that these beings belong to the Creator. I'm just the steward of it. So let's say I was a steward on a ship and I get hired in to be the steward of the ship. My job is to take care of the people on the ship, maybe, and to give them what they need. Well, who is it that's going to tell me what my duties are? It's going to be the captain of the ship. You know, he's the one that's ultimately responsible for what goes on the safety and the welfare of those passengers. So he's the one that's going to say, no, I want you to serve from the left, whatever. Excuse me. Let me take a drink of water. And brief the stewards. He would brief the stewards that, hey, these passengers are our responsibility. They are your number one concern, safety and comfort, right? And as a good steward, you're going to be faced with decisions. And you can't always run up to the bridge and say, Captain, what should I do? You can't. You won't be able to do that. But you know, you should know or try to know or become in tune with, if I have to make a decision here, is it a decision that I can go to the captain with and say, I had to make a decision, sir. I felt that this was consistent with your spirit of intent briefing when I hired in here. I felt it was consistent. And the captain might say, well, very good. There was some nuances here that you didn't know about as a new hire or even somebody that's been here for 5 years. But well done. Good on you. But next time I want you to do it this way, if that ever comes up again. Yes, sir. I will. Now, if I was the captain of that ship, I'd be saying, that's a good man right there, or good woman. So who's the captain of the ship of this ship that I'm on, this ark that I'm on, Noah's Ark. I'm on Noah's Ark. It would be the Creator. It would be God. And so do you think that he's willing to brief me on what he wants me to do? I would say yes. I would say yes. I would say that he has ways of guiding me in decision making. I would say so. I'm starting to believe very much so. If I'm willing to listen to him and seek guidance, I would say so. I would say 100% at this point. In 21 years of doing this, I would say yes for sure. It's only been really intense for probably about 10 years. The first 10 years, it was like stumbling when I look back on it, and spending a lot of time on things that since then have gone. They don't even make any sense that I did them, but I didn't know, I didn't really have somebody to say, hey, don't do this. And I was blindly saying, I got to figure this out. And I didn't really seek any kind of guidance on it. And I would tell you this, we wanted to quit. And the only problem with that is quitting is hard. It's a lot harder than just carrying on. And so I wanted to quit. I just didn't. I just never did it. I just never actually did it, is why I'm still here. And I would like to tell that to people that are getting into farming, this has got days when you're going to say, what am I doing? I still have those days. Like, what am I doing? But it doesn't last long, because I can always go to a place where I see that something's worked well, and I can see the fruit of it. And it's like the fruit is like revealed to me, and I'd say, no, this is good. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do here, and I get joy from it. And I don't think that joy comes from I don't get the same sort of joy if I watch a good movie that I do from this. The little things, like a calf being born, and then the mother getting up and licking him off, and having the confidence, like the calf that came Saturday, we were on our way out the door. If those of you that have children, you know that you can have the car pointed out the driveway, and you're waiting for people to come out of the house, and Frank comes running up. Good on him too. I mean, he says, there's hoofs sticking out of Belle. Belle is the cow she's a cow now. She was a heifer before she calved. And so, we're on our way. The car's running. We're ready to go. Just waiting on somebody from in the house. And here comes Frank. There's hoofs. We've got hoofs sticking out of Belle. And so I shut the car off, and it's like, yeah, maybe we're not going to be going to Women's Day down at the de Klerk's homestead. What was I doing there, you might ask? Yep, eating their food, and socializing. I actually had a pretty good day, but we got there quite late because we went down there and looked at Belle, and sure enough, she was laying down having her calf, which is common. Sometimes they just stand up and blop them out on the ground, but she was laying down, and the hoofs were out about 6 inches. And then as we watched, in the course of maybe 15 minutes. Now they're out 8 inches, now they're out 10 inches, now they're out a foot. And then she got halfway and kabloop, out the calf came. Skinny little thing all wrapped up in a sack, and then miraculously the sack just goes away, and the other cows come over, and we're all looking at it. And Cece stood up and turned around and started licking him, and it was a heifer, which was a thrill, and beautiful cat. And that type of joy is different than say watching a good movie. There's good movies, there are definitely good movies. And then heading down the road to Declare, it's like an hour and 45 minutes down there. I just had this nice feeling. Hey, we got a calf. We got a heifer calf too. What do we name her? What's she going to look like? What's she going to be like, and all that? And thinking about Belle, the history on Belle is Belle was born on a day when we had a lot of snow. I got up, fired the truck up, started pushing snow. Truck broke. I had to fix the truck. I knew Cece was going to have a calf. I knew it. And yet, kind of slipped my mind a little bit. And then pushing snow up against a snowbank, and I happened to look over there. Not that I wasn't consciously thinking, ooh, I wonder if Cece had her calf. Cold as blazes, January, and I see these 2 ears sticking up. She's down below the snow line. Oh no. I go blasting up there. She's cold, like stiff cold, like meat before it freezes. And so all hands on deck. We got the loader. Could hardly get down there with the loader. There was so much snow. And put her in the loader, sitting on a kid's lap. Brought her up. Had a fire going in the butcher shop, so it was warm in there. And then we just put her on a bed of straw and then laid down on her. Skin to skin. That's all you can do to warm them up. And in about the second day, her head was up. I thought we were going to lose her. I really thought we were going to lose her. Heifer calf. She was half Guernsey, half Holstein. Going to be a beautiful thing. And we saved her. And just by the nick, just in the nick of time. I think if she was there for a little while longer, she would have frozen. And matter of fact, that same day, Ruby had a calf the same day, or maybe sooner, and it froze. It froze. My fault. Totally my fault. No one else can take the. Well, we don't do it like that anymore. Now we would bring them in and lock them in a stall, and they wouldn't like it, but it's for the safety of the calf. You can monitor it. They like to go into the woods to have their calf. It's really cold or deep snow. It's sort of an unnatural thing having calves in January. All calves really should come in the spring. And then the grass comes on and the mother's milk gets engorged, and that's how you should be doing it. But to keep a supply of milk going 365 days, we have to stagger them. But it is in my mind to dry them all off and not milk for 2 months and then start back up when they all come in. That way we can ditch certain customers if we don't want them anymore. And I know people that do that. It's enticing because then you would not be milking for 2 months. It would be nice to not milk for 2 months. Although I like milking. I like the process. Good process. Some of these things that we've figured out, like even with Belle being born, how did we know that we have to put our bodies against them to warm them up enough. Couldn't we just put a torpedo heater on, a diesel heater? No, that's not it. It has to be a different type of heat. We did other things too. We heated up rocks on the wood stove, and then we put those around her. I think we put a rice pack on her. We have rice packs that we heated up, and then we laid them on her. But that skin to skin was, I think, what did it. And because you would come away from her, you would be cold, but then my body would warm up, and I would get back on her, and it was a good thing. So there's some history there. And of course, Cece, there's a story here too. And I think this is really where I formulated this whole idea of defer. If you're going to defer your decision, defer it to the Most High. Defer to the Most High. Okay, Cece, cookies and cream. We got her as a calf, very young, maybe 2 weeks old. Jill was the calf feeder at a pretty good sized dairy, like a 400 cow dairy, and working part time. And Cece was born, and she had a condition where her back hoof was knuckled under. That's what it looks like to me. So she's not walking on her hoof, the bottom of her hoof. She's kind of walking on the tip of her hoof, and then it would bend over. That's how she was walking. And the guy that owns the dairy is like, well, I'm just probably going to knock her in the head because she's not even good for veal. And if you want her, you can have her. So I went over and I got her. And we looked at that and we said, well, maybe if we put a splint on it and it'll straighten out. Well, it did. It did. But it was always kind of swollen. And every year towards the end of winter, when the ground is really hard and uneven and she's got to walk around on it, it would become inflamed. And she would appear to be in pain, although you don't really know. I mean, she came in to get milked. If you tried to touch it, she would move it. And it didn't look good, but then spring would come, the ground would soften up, and Cece had a little bit of a limp, but I thought, well, this is better than knocking her in the head. And she's a great milk cow. She's gentle, and she's big, and she does well on grass. So, you weigh it out. She's not perfect, but none of us are. And so she stayed with the herd. And she gave really nice calves, too. But this year, she could be about 7 years old now. I can know, but I just don't know right now. I can look at pictures and figure it out. She could be about 7 years old. Let's see if I think back through the calves. Some of them are long gone. It was bad. It was bad. And it was real red. Some of the hair started coming off. And she did not want to come in to get milked, to be milked. We had to drive her in. And it just seemed very difficult for her. And I'm the guy that's got to make the decision. What are we going to do here? She's giving us 5 gallons of milk a day. She's definitely pulling her weight. But I can't have an animal I can't have their welfare jeopardized. I'm not just going to whip her in. I don't care if she's in pain or not. I can't do that. But she is given $50 worth of milk every day. So what do we do here? She's young. She gives good calves. She loves her life other than her sore hoof. What do I do? And so I deferred to my friend Dallas Burrell, who's a veterinarian here. He's ex-GI as well, friend. And I said, well, I'm going to defer to him, and whatever he says, we're going to go with. We're going to go with it. If he's got something in his bag of tricks that he can straighten her out, then great. But if he says no, then I'm going to go with that. And looking back on it, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. I should have deferred to him, but not as the final answer. Not as the final answer. Definitely the veterinarian has their place. But the buck stops with me. The buck stops with me. Really, I'm the steward. I'm the main steward here. I'm Adam, Jill's Eve. And ultimately, I'm the one that has to answer for that. Ultimately, I have to answer for it. I have to answer for everything that goes on here. So the vet came out. He was only here for a little. He brought a couple tools out with him and some a shot of something. But he looked at it and he just winced. And he said, there's nothing we can do. I mean, it's just full of arthritis. She's in a lot of pain. You should put her down. I'll do it if you can't. And I said, no. We'll move the hay bale up close to the barn so she doesn't have to walk but maybe 5 or 8 steps. And I got a beef hanging on the rail, so I really can't do it today. I felt like I didn't want to just shoot her and drag her someplace and cover her up with good shit. I didn't want to do that. It just seems like you're not honoring the life of the animal. So I said, okay, we'll butcher her. We'll butcher her and we will eat her. We will enjoy her one last time. It seems to me like you honor them. I've done that before where I've had to shoot cows. I had a cow with mastitis and I thought, we can't eat her. We just can't. I can't do it. So one of my kids shot her actually, and I loved her, and we just buried her, and that was tough. Seeing her in the hole and stuff, and knowing that we killed her, and that was not good. And I did not want to do that again. We wound up having to shoot Moon, but we pumped her full of antibiotics. She had a big problem. I still don't really know what it is. But anyway, and we just made a grave for her basically. And I didn't want to do that. So I said, okay, we'll butcher her. We hadn't put any antibiotic in her or anything like that. We really don't use antibiotics. The vet is usually the one that does it. And so it was going to be a day or two. And I thought, okay, that'll be okay. That'll be all right. Because it was a thing, somebody has to do the trigger work. And I can't ask my children to do that. They love Cece. She's been here a long time. So it had to be me. I did not want to do it. I did not want to do it, but I knew I had to. It was my responsibility. So then Wednesday night came around and we have our consulting call. And that's every other Wednesday night. People who are in Tribe Plus get to go on a Zoom call and ask me questions, and we have discussion, and it's really productive. It's productive for everybody. It's productive for me. And there's somebody in the group, Ann Putnam, and she said, oh, you should try this. She said DMSO and with St. John's wort and arnica. You should try that before you do that. And I thought, well, okay. I mean, I'll do anything to get out of having a shooter. So it's like it gave me like an out. It gave me an out, actually. So, okay, it's freezing cold out. I'll get in my nice new 2018 pickup truck and drive to Cadillac, see if I can find some DMSO, and I'll try it. I'll try it. At least I'm able to look her in the eye and say, I'm trying to do something for you here, sweetheart. I don't want to just knock you down. So I did. And I think at first I was being optimistic, and my optimism was just make-believe. It really was. It was make-believe. Hey, I think she's doing better. Now, you just don't want to shoot her is all. But, you're going to have to because she's in a lot of pain. You're going to have to. Okay, let's just give it another day. And then, whoa, she is doing better. She is doing better. And better and better and better and better. And there was a breakthrough, 10 days ago. So when we first started putting this solution on her, this DMSO with St. John's wort and arnica, and I mean, all of that stuff is above my pay grade. I would have not known to do that. It was Ann Putnam that said, try this first before you shoot her. Okay, I will. And then Jill got the St. John's wort and she had the arnica. So we made a solution. And then we were smearing it on her. And her hoof was pretty nasty. And I thought, no, wait, this isn't the right way to do this. If one of the kids had a wound, we would clean that. And so I went and I got a sprayer, brand new little sprayer that you pump up, put warm water in it with a little bit of Dawn, sprayed it, let it solve down through all of that manure that was on there. And then I got a brand new bucket of really hot water, 140-degree water, and a brush, little brush, like stiff bristle brush, dipped it in the water and started rubbing it with the fur. And it cleaned up really good. And then we had another sprayer with that DMSO solution in it, and we sprayed it. And sure enough, things started to happen. So then one time when I was cleaning her, there was a spot, and it looked like a manure. It looked like manure that didn't want to give it up. I couldn't get it off. And all of a sudden, it broke off like a scab. And it was just a brown, about as big as a walnut, broke off. And there was all this pus under there. And the pus kind of sloughed out. And then it was blood came out. Just real thin blood, blood and water kind of. Or blood and like Karo syrup. It was thick. And when I touched it, it was sticky. So it wasn't water. It was, I don't know what it was exactly, but it drained out of the side of her hoof. And I thought, well, that's good. Stuff's draining out of there. And it seemed like the swelling came down a little bit more. And then on the front of her hoof, there was like a pimple, but it was as big as a golf ball, right? About half the size of, it looked like a big zit right on the front of her hoof, right about where the hoof comes up and meets the skin. It was right there. And it was red. I just killed a mosquito. You're the first one. You get a free oven mitt. You won't need it though. And it was red and looked tight. And I just thought that is going to pop. I'll just leave it alone. And so we kept doing the treatment to her, and then she comes in to milk, and one day she comes in and it has popped, and there's another scab there, but it's kind of high, and you can see stuff trickling out of it. So when I was cleaning her, I took the back of the brush and I just hit it, and it knocked it off, and this big glob of pus comes out. Just big, huge glob. I mean, it was as big as a golf ball. And then it just bled. Like thin blood. It just bled. And there was a big spot of blood on the floor, but she was calm, and I felt okay. I felt this is good. Now, there would have been a part of me that would say, I better call somebody. But as soon as you call somebody, you're saying, I'm no longer going to study this. I'm no longer going to ask the Most High what to do next. So that whole train of thought stops right there. And I think that is a huge mistake. I'm not saying never seek the counsel of others. I'm not saying that. But just don't be so quick, because you should be sitting there, or I'm going to be sitting there saying, well, I don't know the answer to this yet, but I know there is an answer. Because if I think that I can call this guy that's got a degree in veterinary services, somebody's got the answer. If I have confidence in him, what about the confidence in me? What about my own confidence to receive from the creator of this animal that knows exactly what's wrong with that cow? I know what's wrong with that cow. Why don't you listen to me? You need to be slapped upside the head. And it kind of came to me right there. Cece has been suffering with this for all these years, and there was an answer. But I just couldn't hear it. I didn't seek it. I didn't seek it. There was something else too when the vet was there. Cece had gone down close to the road for whatever reason, and he was concerned that somebody's going to drive by and see this. You don't want somebody to see this. And I thought, I never even considered that. I never even thought of that. But then I started to think about that. Oh, what? Is the USPCA going to come here and take my cow from me because I'm not a good steward of the cow? Oh, I never even thought of that. But I guess it could happen. Well, it wouldn't here, but I guess some people would be concerned about that. So then the story gets better. Then every day when she came in, I would be the one that would be looking at that hoof, because it was exciting to see all of that stuff drain out and seeing her hoof go back down. At some point, I said, you know what? She's going to recover from this. She's going to be here for another 7 years. I don't have to shoot her. She is going to recover. There's going to be a new hoof there. She's a regenerative being. And that hoof that's there now can be gone and replaced with new cells that are functional and perfect. That can happen. And I think it's going to happen. I just do. I feel it, that it's going to happen. So every day when she come in, I would be the guy that would want to go and see. Let's see how this is going. I want to honor the creator of that animal by doing everything I can do for her, but just not other things. You know, I'm waiting for instructions here. And so I'll go in there and I'll clean her. It feels right. I'll spray her down with that DMSO. It feels right to do that. It's worked so far. I'm going to keep doing it. Well, the other day, I was explaining what I was doing to one of my hired guys who knows absolutely nothing about farming. Absolutely nothing. He's like a fresh slate, and we're training him, and he's really psyched about it, and it's really fun. So I say, hey man, come on over here and look at this. I want to show you what I'm doing. And as I'm telling him this, I'm saying what I'm concerned about here with an open wound is I really don't want a fly to go and lay eggs in that open wound. I really don't, because if that happens, I'm thinking we could have problems. You know, I'm thinking that, and I'm saying it to him, but I don't really know, because that's not really ever happened. But I'm just thinking it can happen, and I'm instructing him that we want to keep it clean. So, and then I have some stuff that I can put on it that keeps flies away. Well, he goes back to cleaning the milk machine, and I'm cleaning her, and all of a sudden, oh no, I see a little worm, a little maggot swimming in that blood that's oozing out of her. And then I see another one. I see about 25 of them. They're just tiny. They're not full-size maggots. And I was like, oh no. And then for a minute, I said, I got to go ask Jill what to do. But then I thought, no, let's just look at this for a minute. What am I supposed to do here? I'm asking the question, what should I do? And I filled up the sprayer with warm water and I started to flush the wound. And I'm washing these little tiny worms out, these tiny maggots out. And then I thought, I don't know about that, because Jill's grandmother was in a car accident. She's passed now, but she had a fantastic story about the wound that she had that was really bad. They were going to have to cut her leg off, and a fly got in and laid eggs, and the maggots ate a lot of the gangrenous flesh, and she recovered. And she felt as though it was a good thing, even though the hospital staff freaked out and got all those maggots out of there as quickly as. But she felt like, well, maybe this is a good thing. And she was a nurse too. I don't know if she was a nurse then though, but something in her spirit was like, no, maybe this is okay. I remember her telling that story. If I could ask her now, I'd say, tell me every piece of that story and why you felt that way. Tell me. But anyway, I recalled that story and I thought, okay, I flushed a bunch of these maggots out of here. I'm going to stop for a minute. And I'm going to do something different. And so I did. I went up into the house and I started reading. And I recalled a book that somebody had told me about one time, my brother-in-law. He's a nurse. And he was telling me about this book called Honey, Mud, and Maggots. Honey, Mud, and Maggots. And it was not consistent with his career field, really. But he thought it was kind of interesting, and he told me about it. I never read the book, but I just remembered the title. And so I put in, a Google search on honey, mud, and maggots, maggots and wounds, all this stuff. And I start reading, and sure enough, it is a legitimate treatment for gangrene patients, patients who have wounds that don't get treated right away, like a long time. And I read on and on and on, and I thought, those maggots came from flies. The Most High created the flies, and he created that cow too. And here I am stepping in between saying, oh, I need to put some pharmaceuticals on there to cure this thing. I thought maybe I've done the wrong thing. The maggots will be back. And so I had a customer that was coming in, and our new HerdShare customers, we sit down with them to find out what they're looking for. And then I'm able to tell them what services I'm providing. Let me shut this door real quick. And this gal was she was like a nurse practitioner, I think, but she wound up working for the milk inspection service, and she worked there for like 15 years and then quit. And now she's coming to us to get raw milk because she won't give store milk to her kids. And she had some really neat stories, and she was 40-ish, at 45-ish maybe. I don't know, maybe 40-ish. Maybe she was 50, I don't know. And as we're talking about this, I was talking to her about Cece and what I discovered and all of this. And she said, can I see her? And I said, you sure can. She's right in the milk parlor. She's still in the stanchion. So she came out and she looked. I put a flashlight on it. And she said, you know what I think you need to put on here? Honey. And I said, why? And she said, but I'm agreeing with her though. And I've never put honey on wounds. I haven't done that. Well, maybe I have. Maybe I have. But I didn't consider putting it on Cece. I did not. But when she said it, something in me, in my spirit, was like, that's it. That's it. And so I didn't flush any more of the maggots out. I didn't do that. I didn't see any more. But I went up to the house and I said, do we have some honey that I can use? And Jill said, yeah, I got some honey that was in the root cellar and it turned kind of brown. And I've just been keeping it for medicinal purposes. I tasted all right. But it was brown, dark brown. So I took it down there, and the two wounds, one wound is pretty well closed up, but the other one was pretty well open. And I put honey on there, and it was incredible. Like I got a stirring stick, and I took a bunch out, and then I just put it on her hoof up high, and it just like cascaded down slowly. And it filled in that wound, and it was just this brown or golden brown color, and it went down over her hoof. And I sat there and I said in my mind, is this the right thing to do? And I was like, yes. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything, but it was a yes. And so I started thinking about looking at those steers out on the field and just having something in my spirit say, something's not right here. And then going out there and finding them, one of them laid over dead, and then the other one just like frozen in time. He wouldn't walk. I could walk right up to him and touch him, and he was just in a trance, from the neurotoxins. And in that case, I sat down on the dead one and I did a Google search on it, and I found it. So I think that when we seek counsel, you got to do it very carefully and intentionally do not shut down the line of communication between you and the Most High. Don't do that. That's who you should defer to first. And there may be a reason why, well, I want you to have contact with this guy here, so I'm going to bring him right to your door, like that woman that came here. If she wasn't here talking with me about raw milk, I wouldn't have discovered this. I just wouldn't have discovered it. So anyway, that is my thing, and I think that needs to be developed. It's not, I haven't arrived, and I know that you're just hearing it for the first time, so none of us have arrived. We're working towards it, but I hope you will hear what I say about that, or I hope I've presented it in a way that's useful to people. Okay, that's what I got. I'm in an hour and a half. Let me read the comments here. It just lets you know who's here. Just Me's here. Belva's here. We'll see you tomorrow night, Belva, probably. Zumwalt. If you train them right, they will surpass the teacher. What better compliment could an instructor ask for? That's right. And I'll tell you what, when you instruct somebody on how to do something, you actually learn it to the next level, I think. Mike B, I'm with you. I love God's creatures. You hate to see them die. Yeah, there is a spiritual aspect to this, to the farming business or the animal husbandry business. You cannot deny. And I think about a lot of my friends with the 2020 election are no longer my friends because everything got politicized. And I think of some of them that were in the farming business that wanted nothing to do with spirituality. Nothing. They said it was all made up. It's all phony. When you die, you're dead like a doorknob, like a doornail. They did not want to believe that they were a spirit being. They just didn't. And those people probably had to be pulled out of my life because I was kind of like, well, I mean, sure, heaven, that's cool. And Adam and Eve, that's all cool. But really, there's a lot more, it's a lot deeper. And I think that the way modern religion is packaged, it's like, yeah, but what do I do with it? How do I apply this? It smells like smoke in here. All right. All right, Andy. Honey has done well on human scrapes and that are infected down here in Greenbow. Not pasteurized, believe makes the difference. I'll bet. Anytime you pasteurize something, you're heating it up to a pretty high temp, and that changes its properties. I think the way it comes off the shelf, natural, it's got properties in it that, science says they understand things, but they just say it because they want to give an answer a lot of times. I don't think we need answers on everything, honestly. All right. I had an awesome day. I'm going to have an awesome day tomorrow. I hope you all have an awesome day. Remember, anyone can farm. If you want to get in on the consulting call, you got to get into Tribe Plus, and then show up. I mean, there's a bunch of people that are in Tribe Plus but never come to a consulting call, and I think it's a shame. All right, appreciate y'all. Have a good night. Remember, anyone can farm, and sayonara.